It's Monday and shit is wild out there. Welcome to Luke, Who is Your Father? I'm your host, Ricky.
I'm your host, Jules.
I'm Kenny.
And I'm Jason.
Jason's in the house today. He's joined us for part 2 of his 2-part episode. We're so lucky to have him. How are you feeling, Jason?
I'm good. Thank you, ladies, for having me.
Of course. We are so happy to have you. Can you get a little closer to that mic?
Sure can.
Jason is 6'4", and he's in studio with us. He's the first guest that we've had in the studio since Tina. So it's taken a little bit of finagling, and he's just a lanky man. We're having to adjust.
The finagling is literally us just fitting him into the studio. Anyway,
thanks for having me.
Yes, of course. We're so excited to have you. Back to business. You can see this episode and all of our episodes and bonus content by subscribing to Luke, Who is Your Father on YouTube. Follow us on TikTok at Luke, Who is Your Father Pod, at Ricky Jump, and at Jules, Who is Your Father. And follow us on Instagram at Luke, Who is Your Father, at Ricky Jump, and at Kenny K23. You can also please subscribe to our Patreon for
It's
the
only
love of God.
$5 a month. Only $5.
You can do that on their app or at patreon.com/Luke, Who is Your Father. You guys, that's really a place for us to have more fun. It's fun.
Get a little goofy.
Get a little goofy. We're doing monthly happy hours. We're going to be releasing special DIA episodes. I'm sure we'll release special episodes of another ilk as soon as you tell us what you want. And you'll get access to early episodes at some point and ad-free episodes. That will be relevant at some point, God willing.
God willing.
We do, of course, always appreciate your support. So if you could just stop what you're doing right now, go to your Spotify or Apple app. Actually, most of you are Apple people, which is crazy to
Wild.
me. Hit the 5 stars. And then click the share button and send that to the first person in your contact list. Perfect. Yes, you did a great job.
A lot of Adams, a lot of Aaron's getting podcasts.
A lot of aardvarks. But we are loving all of the reviews we've received. It really does mean a lot to us if you do want to take the time and actually write your thoughts. If you want to participate in the episode Q&As on Spotify, if you want to participate in the polls, we love to see you there. And if you do have a story of your own to share of the Who's Your Daddy variety, you can submit on our website, which is LukeWho'sYourFather.com. You can also read our bios there in case you're not uncomfortably familiar with us at this point. Any mentions in the press or on other podcasts, and see all of the platforms we're streaming on. And I mean, if you're new here, why are you starting here? Go back at least to Jason's first episode. But we are triplets who were separated at birth, reunited, and found our biological father through ancestry DNA. And that is what has divinely blessed us to be able to tell these stories for other people these days. Speaking of favorites, which we were not.
I hear you.
So typically we are not doing question of the days for 2-parters. We want to really just hop in there. But since we've got Jason in studio, we are going to do a question of the day.
Must take advantage.
Must take advantage of Jason in his vulnerable state. We have provided him with a Pacifico, so
Thank
he's
you.
obligated.
Thank you. Yes.
Jason,
Yes, ma'am.
what is your favorite way to have your steak cooked?
Oh, medium
shit.
rare.
Medium
For
rare.
sure.
Okay, he can stay.
He can stay. You are allowed.
I mean, I grew up in Texas, so come on.
Do you have a favorite cut?
Oh, yeah.
No.
No.
Mm-mm.
I'm a medium rare ribeye gal myself.
Right.
Kenny?
I have to go with medium rare now as well.
Wow.
I have moved.
She's graduated.
Yes.
She's all grown up.
But I'm a filet mignon gal.
Okay.
You
I am a
are a
product
filet
of my
mignon
mom.
gal.
You are a product of mom.
Mhm.
I am also a medium rare ribeye kind of girl, but I do have a trick. And that is for all of our medium rare people out there. Well, actually anyone. Well, no, we don't want to talk to you if you're any more than medium rare, so never mind. But anytime I go to a restaurant, I order my steak rare because they usually cook it medium rare.
Mhm.
Which is why I am now a medium rare.
And then and then because if they cook it too little, they can always throw it back on. And if they cook it too much, they have to toss it and start all over. And I also worked at Outback Steakhouse for like, holy shit, I don't know, 6 years or something. So I have some nice little steak tips. Also, Outback Steakhouse, great quality steaks, actually.
And she's not sponsored by everybody.
No,
We are not.
not sponsored. I would take a
I
sponsorship
would
from Outback.
100% take a sponsorship from Outback Steakhouse.
I'll talk about Outback all day long. I'm glad you said that because it's not something that I usually admit out loud, but I do love an Outback prime rib.
They're really high quality cuts of meat.
Great. I mean, it's Outback Steakhouse. Great. Well, today I learned, which we always do. Okay, so again, this is Jason's part 2. Jason, we left you in part 1 in a vulnerable state, to say the least. You had essentially done your DNA test. You had been contacted immediately by Jacoba, and you were sort of dealing with your new reality and coming to terms with who your biological father was.
Right.
You did not get the good news that you had hoped for. And we left you in kind of a vague fugue state where you had packed up your car to drive, and your intentions were not made clear in that episode. So let's resume there and just kind of clarify for the audience what you were going through in that moment, what the quote unquote plan was. We know it wasn't, but just take us back to where you were.
Okay. Well, I guess it really stemmed down to why I packed my guns in my car, because I spent a couple days just thinking of what this man did to my mom. And I think that was the only reason for what she said that he did, and others, of how the men went in and did their business and he gave it to them and threw it away and then did his and examined the women a few times before the procedure. It just, I don't know. My mom's my everything. So I just immediately went dark. I don't know if I said it in the first one, but I did try to commit suicide before. I drank a bunch and hung myself. And then when I woke up, and immediately it was 30 minutes later I was packing. I don't even remember getting to St. Louis, but just something came over me that my mom, I don't know, it was a feeling that my mom was like with me and she was telling me to turn around. So I immediately called her and told her what I was doing. And she just said one thing to me that, sorry, it's kind of hard for me to spit this out. I haven't said this in a while. That if you do this, if he dies, I die. Because I guess she was insinuating that obviously I was going to go to jail, and then she was going to end it. So I immediately just thought of my mom in a different way. I just immediately turned back around and just thought to myself, okay, well, I'm going to fight this, I guess, the correct way. And there's certain things I've never been put in that light to where I've thought of stuff like that, to where I've gone to the extreme. It was just really tough. I don't really know how to explain it, but it was. I went to a spot that I never thought I could get to. I never thought that, when you watch, programs and you see, murders and serial killers, you're like, how the heck do they get there? Well, I went to a weird state where I barely remember, it's just, it scared me. And so I didn't want this man to affect me any more than he's already has. So I just started to heal myself right then and there. Wasn't going to let that man affect any more than he already has.
And then I think this is a good time because I don't know if we've actually gone into a comprehensive, because this is what we've been building up to, right? This DNA test, the result of it, who is this guy, but I don't know if we've really gone into the implications of this. So and I might be mistaken, but Robert Cline, who again, Jason was part of the Netflix documentary Our Father. Donald.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Donald Cline. See, his name ain't even worth remembering. And Jason was a part of the Netflix documentary Our Father, which really goes very into depth into this story and a lot of the different offspring. What do you guys prefer to be called?
Siblings.
And the pod, which is a new term that we know, the sibling pod. So this was a doctor that, what year did this start?
I believe it started in the 70s.
I think the 70s.
78?
78.
76 maybe.
And went on for what, like 20 years?
Yeah, and that we know of. Yeah, because we're getting a couple in the 90s that have been born in the 90s.
Yeah.
And for a while it was just 89. 1989 was the last few.
Yeah.
But here comes new ones.
So can you tell us who this person was and how he conducted his business, I guess?
Well, to be honest with you, I really don't, because the documentary really gives him a better light than he deserves.
Damn.
Yeah. So in the documentary, it shows him just driving around and, but he was drunk, driving through the neighborhood, top speed, and ran over a little girl and killed her. Well, my grandpa was the police chief at the time. Got it covered up, and within 2 weeks, he was in the military. Well, within, I think, the first year, he decided that that's what he wanted to do. And I think it stems from him maybe killing somebody. So now he's trying to bring life. I don't know. There's so many different ways my mind has constructed his brain. But in my mind, I feel like he took a life. So now he's going to try to turn around and, give life. But he did it to his best friend. His best friend was telling him, hey, I'm having trouble, this and that, to, getting my, girl pregnant. He was like, well, I can take somebody from way on the other side. And, and that was the first time he did it. So he did it to his best friend immediately within the first year.
And when you say did it, what he did was he told this person, his best friend, that he was going to be using donor sperm.
That looked like him. Jeez.
Right. So because I think, and that's something that we've learned too, because Laura, we spoke to a couple of weeks ago, and she's done a ton of research into this, and we found that when a family is having fertility issues and they're needing to conceive via donor sperm,
right,
their number one priority is to find someone that as closely resembles their significant other as possible. So he's going out and he's telling his best friend, okay, I have someone in a sperm bank or whatever it is. I'm going to find a sperm donor that as closely resembles your significant other as possible. And I'm going to use that sperm to fertilize your egg, your embryos.
Mm-hmm.
And instead of doing that, he is actually using his own sperm to fertilize people's eggs. Correct?
Yep, correct.
And so the first time, and we didn't know I don't think we knew about that the first time he ever did that was to his best friend.
Mm-hmm.
And was that before he was a licensed.
Oh yeah, he was in the military then. He was in the army. He was in the army.
Okay, so this is very strange for the friend to agree to as
we
well.
have no idea where it went from him being in the army to where he got his own practice. Like that area is really gray, and we can't figure it out.
As far as like medical school?
Well, no, just because he said he went to University of Illinois and he roomed with a basketball star. Well, we found out through my FBI buddy that that's a lie, and then we brought that to light. So there's a lot of things that he's lying about,
Right.
And how do you just go from the military and then owning your own
Right.
practice? I just don't. And
So,
then in
yeah.
1984, he was on Time magazine for being Northeast's best fertility doctor. So
it sounds like a narcissist.
Mhm.
And I know we're not armchair diagnosers here, and we know that a web of lies can be really hard to get down to the bottom of. So he started doing this when he was in the army, and then the whole kind of purview of our father is that he did this at least 100
oh yeah.
times.
Mm-hmm.
And this is what we call, as we learned, we just had a very nice crash course in this.
Yes.
This is what we call fertility fraud, where he is lying about the sample that he's using to
Yep.
fertilize other people's eggs. And then I think the way that he did it is disgusting.
Mhm.
And what he had these women believing and all of that. So when Jacoba gave you the phone call, you didn't know exactly kind of what we just went over yet. So what information did you have? And then what was your guys' path forward?
All at that point I had was the information that Ancestry.com gave me. And then, I think I said before, I think the first one was Julie, actually. And I thought it was a friend that was pranking me or, doing something stupid. So I hung up, and then about 5 minutes later, I think it was Jacoba, and she said, "Hey, look, I believe that your Ancestry's crazy numbers right now. It's real. You need to sit down. If you need to do whatever, call me back." And after that, just went blank. That's when, the next few nights is when I, drank myself and tried to commit suicide, and then drove to St. Louis.
Because your understanding up to that point was that.
Well, it wasn't just him. Like it was more of that. I spent that 2 years, idolizing this father that I'm gonna, receive, and he's gonna be tall like me. He's gonna play sports like I did, and because I grew up with a father that was, Big Bang Theory. He didn't play sports. He was in math clubs and all that kind of stuff. So it was more heartbreaking that I knew that it was a doctor that had been violating women and just got his career from evil.
And how had you found that out, that he was performing pelvic examinations on these women?
I believe it's when Netflix started contacting me, and a lot of siblings started talking and asking questions to their moms and being like, "Hey, look, we know about this now, like come forward," type thing. And all the moms pretty much have these similar type of stories. So unless you're going to believe one man, the DNA, or 100 women that have all said pretty much the same thing. So it was right in the beginning of the Netflix filming.
Okay, so what had Jacoba told you that made you so certain that he was? I mean, it's obvious, right? He's obviously part of a huge fertility fraud scheme, and that's the data that you have at that point. But what had she said to you that had made you so upset on your mother's behalf at that time?
It was more, I guess, that I heard the stories of the ones that their fathers came in and, gave their semen out. And these families were desperate and vulnerable, and let a doctor, like I said before, cops and doctors and those type of people, you're supposed to look up to them and rely on those type of people. So I think it was just when I heard all the stories, and then I heard my mom, and it was just felt like a tornado of information, that just destroyed me, I guess. Just how could somebody like this do this to my mom on top of many, many women? Shouldn't be here for that.
Yeah. So you had kind of like an innocence lost moment.
Oh, yeah.
Like a total black shroud kind of fell over the world and people's motivations and things like that.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
I think we're glossing over just a teensy bit the fact that not only was he doing fertility fraud, but he was having these women come in. He was going into the other room saying he was preparing the sperm donors or their husband's sample, and he was masturbating and creating his own sample, and then going back into the room with these women
While
he was like still high on that.
While he's still sexually aroused.
Yeah.
I mean, trust me, all of it got me. I mean, when we were filming up in Indiana I think I went there twice. I told them a couple times that I'm going over there, and they would not allow me to, because I'm just different from them. Those Indiana, girls and guys are there, or they're quieter. I grew up in Houston, so I grew up with a melting pot. So it's just a different way of life there, to where one of the dudes went up there and ringed his doorbell, and he answered the phone or the door, and my brother was like, "Hey, I'm your son. I just want to shake your hand." And he shook his hand, and he goes, "Okay, now you shook my hand. Now get out of here." And it's just like, man, I come from this dude. Like, I don't know. It just makes me think of all of it. Just made me mad. I don't, because you see, other criminals out there that have children, and I'm worried. Like, am I going to turn out like that? Am I, like, you never know. So it's scary and it's upsetting. I some days I wake up depressed about it. Some days I wake up angry, but I can tell you, I think about it constantly all the time.
Yeah. And I think that's something that Laura said that I wanted to dig into more with her, and I don't think I got the chance to, is I would be curious to see the demographics where fertility fraud is so present. Because one thing that she said is a lot of the times, and the reason that it's so difficult to get any kind of result is because the community is rallying around the doctor, as opposed to the entire community that they've affected. And I would think, and this is completely a conjecture, but I would think that would be a stronger dynamic in more rural, smaller Midwestern towns, where they are revered as such an authority figure. And
he was high up in this church too.
Yeah.
And we found out afterwards they finally kicked him out.
Thank the Lord.
So, okay. So you said that after speaking with your mom and deciding to turn around, go home from St. Louis, you started your healing right then. And then so much unfolds after that. So
all while in the mix of a divorce. So that was tough.
And was that, and I'm sorry, I know what you were getting to, but if I remember right, this was kind of a catalyst in your divorce, was the reaction that
what am I going to do?
Right. Right. And so you come home with that kind of resolve. And I think that I
didn't have any family in Colorado at the time. So it wasn't great that I did this, but I pretty much tricked her in coming back to Houston, thinking we were going to go from Houston to Florida, when all along I was just trying to get her to Houston so she'd go over to her mom's house. I know that's bad.
You got to do what you got to do.
You know, it was a year and a half of planning. So trust me, it was
Well executed, it sounds like.
yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, how do the events unfold after that? At what rate are you getting information about who this man is? At what rate are you discovering new siblings? When does Netflix contact you? How do all of those events
Are you the
Well-
one that had to tell your mom?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
How did that go?
Well, it went okay, but you know, the hard part was when we were sitting down the first time and her finally saying at her mom's grave that, you know, your dad is not your dad. And I was like, I knew that, but you know, come on. I knew that, but do you know who it is? And then she was just telling me that it was a doctor's office. She didn't even know where it was. So it was like I was getting little information there, but then you know, the producers and the directors for the documentary were calling me left and right and giving
Fairly
me,
soon after you received this
yeah.
information?
Oh yeah, because Jacoba's kind of been working on it. When I found out, Jacoba's already been on that trail. They had like 6 or 7 of them have already met up with him personally.
That's true.
And he came in with a gun and he was trying to intimidate them all and just asking them questions like, what do you do? And writing it down, just being really, really weird. So they had already kind of been in the mix for a while, like original 8 or 12 of them. I can't really remember, but
yeah, I forgot that Netflix, it was like an investigative documentary where they're actually filming Jacoba making these phone calls and making these connections.
Right.
So Netflix is already in the mix when you're finding out this information. So we want to know about you telling your mom. So basically, like,
And any conversations with your dad, your immediate, the dad who raised you.
Oh, well, right before I had found out, my dad's mom had died. So my grandma had passed, and a couple months later, then I told him about, you know, this, and I don't know, something snapped, but he immediately went into Alzheimer's. So I haven't really been able to ask him questions. From a man that, you know, made millions of stocks and now he can't tie his shoe. It's just, you know, it's really tough. So immediately after that, he went into Alzheimer's, and, you know, my mom, I guess, just wanted it to go away. You know, so she wasn't giving me a whole lot of information at the time, to where she really didn't know a whole lot. You know, she just told me that the doctor said that to not tell anybody. This was a new type of treatment, and, you know, it's looked bad upon, is what they said. So they said to never tell your kids, but all of them, they said that too. So I just found out little information over and over as the documentary.
God, and you're just like, are you just sitting and waiting for emails and phone calls and text messages? Is there any research that you can proactively do?
Not until somebody takes a DNA test. That's it. That's where we literally, when this was going on, or right before we started actually filming, it was like 2 or 3 a week. It was it was insane. Like 2 or 3 a week, and then it dropped down. And then after the Netflix documentary went out, probably 15 more after that.
Because did that cause a surge? Oh my God. It probably caused the surge in the people in that town.
And Netflix went all out. I mean, they put his billboard in Times Square for like an entire week.
They were on a mission.
Yeah. Well, because no one else was doing anything about it. So did you have to, I'm so sorry, I moved.
You're good.
Were you? Were you the one that had to tell your mom, this is who did this, and this is what he has been doing?
Yeah.
And did she have any reaction to that?
Yeah, I think she went into a little depression as well, knowing that this happened to her. But I think she was more worried about me. And I think all of her concerns about what happened to her were already happened. So, you know, she just said, I don't care what it takes, you know, let's heal you. So I don't think it really affected her as much as it obviously affected the kids.
Yeah.
Yeah, she was more concerned, especially after.
And she, a little bit over is like, I can't be 100% too mad. He gave me you. So, and then that's where I'm like, oh, I just want to
get mad, Mom. That's difficult.
It's hard.
And that it's something that Laura reiterated. Well, you're reiterating.
Yeah.
Because you can't imagine being a parent and trying so hard for so long to have a child and being so happy to have that child. And then, when you
wanting
find out
redo
exactly
anything.
When you find out that there was any malintent or anything like that, I think it would be very difficult to be angry about that when this was the result.
Yeah. So all the while you've kind of alluded to this healing journey that's happening for you in the background. And we sort of, before you headed to St. Louis, you said that you had ramped up drug usage, alcohol usage. So was that all still happening while you were getting these texts and phone calls and waiting on this documentary to happen and starting to film? Or take us on your healing journey?
No, okay, so when I did find out, it just prompted everything. I just went full-fledged, like I was 18 in college again. On top of going through a divorce, on top of finding this, not having any friends or family living in the same town, I think I just exploded. To where, I lost it, drove to St. Louis to try to commit suicide. But I think that going through the divorce, I think, was what probably snapped, because, when you're going through all these things and not having one person that supports you and, has your back, I think that did it.
Mm-hmm. And did you have to reach a different rock bottom?
No, I think the suicide attempt and the driving like a lunatic with guns in the car to St. Louis was my rock bottom. When I got back, from then on, I was just finding out a way to at least take care of one problem. And the one problem that was, I guess, constantly there that I had control on was who I was with and who I was married to. So it's just hard when you're on top of that trying to end it, and then they said that they're going to end themselves. You know what I mean? So it's like I was just all over the place. Like I'm just surprised that I didn't have a heart attack, or But when I came back to Houston, and Val and I finally ended everything, I think that was a spot in my life to where I knew that everything from here on out is going to get better. I know it's going to be a struggle. I know I'm going to think about it every day, but I don't want to let this man consume me, and I don't want this to consume, my life. So
I think that makes sense. Yeah, to take control and have something to focus on aside from that.
And did you feel supported at all by the many, many siblings that you were uncovering? And did you guys forge any sort of bond?
Man, there's like two sides of that. I guess there was a group of them that really wanted to bond with him, even knowing all this crap. Yeah, it's weird. I don't know why, but they didn't want to say anything. They didn't want to out this man. They were just odd about it. And then when Jacoba and I got into, talking about our story, they thought we were in it to make money. And I don't know if you know this, but, when Netflix has a documentary, you don't make any money. You're not an actor. You're just someone telling your story. So they just thought that we wanted fame from everything.
Because
And-
that's what you want to be famous for.
Yeah,
Definitely.
and I've told this story plenty of times. Like, yes, this is a stepping stone in my life, and it's the dirtiest, nastiest stepping stone, but I'm stepping on it and stepping the F off. Like, I'm not gonna, stand there and let this affect, and I am gonna use it to propel, stuff, but I'm not using this to get famous for, or I just wanted to tell my story and out this man so he can't sit around and think that okay, a slap in the hand and a $500 fine is okay.
And
That's what
and
he
I
got.
think go so more into that part of it. So Netflix documentary, Jacoba, all of these siblings are filming, doing more and more research, finding things out. And yeah, tell us what happened to Donald.
Well, as far as I know, he just he lived in a neighborhood next to NFL players, so he had a lot of money, and little by little he was giving money away, hundreds of thousands of dollars to this person, to that person, a $700,000 home to this person. I mean, he just
To who? Just random people?
random people, his
In
friends,
his circle or church,
in
I'm
his
sure.
circle. Yeah. And
Okay.
it's just the whole thing. Just, I don't know if you heard about his own children that he raised, but they're a doctor and lawyer, but they're working at Amazon and is a swim teacher. So it's just, there's so much of it that's weird. Only the family worked at the doctor's office besides like one or two nurses, and then later on another doctor. So it's just, I don't know.
And the implication behind him giving all of this money away, was so that he didn't have any to give
because
to
we're
as
suing
in
for
restitution.
yeah. a medical malpractice. That's all we can pretty much sue him for.
Yeah.
I wonder if there's a way to come back at child support.
Right.
I wonder if you could do that.
That's a really good point.
I think they covered this in Legally Blonde.
Why this sperm?
Why the sperm? Okay, so, and then I think back, and this is a harder thing to talk about. You're on this healing journey, but knowing who this person is and what they did, what effect did that have on your self-worth and self-image?
And, yeah, perception.
Yeah, that's a better way to put it.
I don't know, because I hate this man, but then there's like 1% of me, thinking that, he was obviously a genius. He did some evil genius stuff like that no one's ever thought about. So like, I don't know. I just wanted, it's true.
I
though.
know,
It's true.
It's true.
But I just, I don't know. I was disappointed when he just lies about things. He said he played basketball, and none of that's true. It's just, I don't know. I wanted, it just hurt more than anything. Like I said before, is not having that someone that I can come talk to and just being like, okay, this dude's my dad. Like, I want to have a conversation with him, but he won't get anywhere near me because he knows, and he's heard through the grapevine of, I've said that next time I see him, I will smack him in the face. But
I love that personally.
Smack him in the face.
no, I do.
I
like
have
it.
to wonder with what you just said. So obviously we have this fledgling hypothesis that because he killed someone, that he then went on an absolute rampage to bring new life into the world.
Right. And I think once he did the first time, it gave him that God
complex.
Yeah.
It seems like with all of the data that he's interested in collecting, if he's coming into a room asking
Mm-hmm.
7 of these pod siblings what they do for a living, it almost seems like creating new life is too pure. It seems like he's trying to recreate his own identity,
Something.
himself.
I don't know.
And if he's lying about being a basketball player, and lying about being athletic, it just seems like maybe he is creating what he believes are tiny little clones of himself that are better than him,
Better.
potentially.
Yeah. And there was in the documentary, there was the
Secret Society.
no, the like
Well,
yeah,
hold
whatever.
on.
Yeah, maybe it's that where the whole point of
Quiverful.
it, yes, quiverful.
Yeah,
That
that's another theory in which I'm actually having a couple buddies that work, in law enforcement high up. They think it's quiverful
yes.
because the quiver, which you store your arrows in, is they think to produce as many offspring as you possibly can, and everything that he's done through his life and within the church, everything boils down to how quiverful is a part, I guess, of Christianity. I don't really know that far of it, but it's they've had people, parents like actually kill their kids because they smacking them too hard, or it's just really disciplined secret society of church. I'm not really sure. You can look into it, but that's another theory that they think it is.
Which I think like the root of it is, like you said, produce as your job is to produce as many offspring that then infiltrate politics, law enforcement, all of these.
The more you have, the closer you are to God.
Right. And it's so kind of like you said, like it's like making a little army. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Regardless of whether you know them or not.
Go forth and spread your seed, I suppose.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, well, that's what that seems like to me. But on the tail end of creating the Netflix documentary, that sounds like, I believe you said in your first episode that did bring you some healing as well.
Oh, yeah.
So if you can just what does your landscape look like now on the other side of this?
Landscape meaning like how's my life panned out since then?
Yeah.
I guess since the Netflix documentary, I did get a lot of weird people, hit me up on Instagram and Facebook, and but I
Fucking
did
weirdo, Ricky.
Yeah, oh yeah. a lot of them asking, for giving me money for my stuff. You know what I mean? Oh yeah. Like, because of this is a DNA type thing, you have no idea the women across the country and the world that has offered me $10,000. Oh yeah. Oh
and
yeah.
You're not.
Oh, come on. I'm not having any children, period. So because of this, but
is that this has informed your decision to not have children?
Absolutely.
Because
I'll probably adopt later on, but
we highly recommend it.
Oh yeah.
We had a woman message us on Facebook that was the mother of.
She wanted your sperm.
She wanted your sperm. She was the mother of triplets, 2 boys and a girl, and was inquiring as to whether 2 of us were single.
Oh, lovely.
But that's not the only thing we've come across like that, to my knowledge. I mean, it could be somewhere where I haven't looked yet, but okay, so a lot of weirdos reaching out to you on the internet.
Weirdos, and then
how was it healing for you, though? Just to tell your truth, or?
Yeah, just to tell my truth, and try to get this man outed. He has just found every way to get around it through the system. I mean, after we were done shooting, and the documentary was already done, we couldn't put any more up. They found pictures of him like hanging out with the judge and the district attorneys, like at parties, and so he knows we know something squirrely has happened. So I just want this man to get outed. I don't want him to have the funds he has because of what he's done. That's not fair.
I can't imagine how frustrating that is. Like, you can't. He's financially almost untouchable,
right?
Because of this.
Yeah. I mean, in Time magazine, on the cover of Time magazine, being the #1 Northeast area, like, big deal. Like, you can get paid a lot of money for being that.
Were you relieved to not be one of the siblings in Indiana?
Oh my
yes,
God,
I was going to ask about that.
Well, yes, because not gonna lie here, I was a little promiscuous growing up, and there was a few that I think that happened to where they ended up and finding out later and then moving away. So there's a couple of them that we can never speak to. They won't ever have anything to do with this, and I think that's the reason. I mean,
And you can't blame them.
yeah,
And that was, I think, another thing that Laura highlighted that is so sad, and control that is taken away from people is because there is a natural inclination, especially if you do not grow up with your sibling, to feel a bond with them or to feel some kind of connection with them, which you read it,
right.
or internalize it differently.
But I'll give him credit because there's one thing, I found out what I really want to do because of all this. When we were filming, I fell in love with it. And I had a lot of people say, hey, look, you have a voice to do voiceovers. Have you ever thought about it? And growing up, I was that kid that, my dad was sitting there reading the newspaper and I had to have that TV like volume like this. So I would sit there as a kid, only child pretty much, and sit and have conversations of what I thought these people were saying. And I'm like, holy shit, that is absolutely perfect.
That's so cute.
So,
Oh, no closed captions for you.
shit. I was born in 1984. Okay. We didn't have closed captions on TVs back then.
Okay, so you got some sense of fulfillment from filming for Netflix. That was an enjoyable experience.
Yeah, it was really enjoyable. Like I said, I came back and did a total wine commercial. I rolled in being a kidnapper and some teaching app for children.
Like you were the voice
You
of
were the
kidnapper?
stranger danger?
I was on camera.
Oh, you were.
Yeah, I had a mask. Yeah, it was like stranger danger. I had a mask and everything, and so I came back and being like, okay, yeah, I'm going to get on a couple, on-screen things. But then I realized that I like doing the voiceovers. I like doing that aspect of it. I don't like going there and being like, okay, I have 15 hours that I'm not doing anything, and then they're going to call me for 10 seconds,
Right.
and then I'm going to do my line and then have to worry about everyone else getting theirs done. I don't know, do that. I can sit at home and
Yeah.
read.
Yes.
So
Do audiobooks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I have a good
Book
connection
talk.
for you.
Do you?
Remind me.
Perfect.
So
Which I think it's making lemons out of lemonade.
Well, that's hard. If you don't have an agent, it's really
Oh.
hard. And I'm not getting an agent. And what are you talking about?
I
Something
meant
different?
just finding, because there are people, of course, that will accuse other people of being opportunistic, or
Oh,
you and
yeah.
the siblings are doing this for this reason. And it's like, what the fuck else do you want us to do?
Yeah, you just want me to sit at home and twiddle my fingers? Like,
Right. So I think, just
I'm
making.
going to take the dirty stone and jump off and run with it.
well, you are in the room with the right people.
Yeah, exactly. And I think there's a sense of,
See? There you go.
Obviously, this
Surround
guy-
yourself with the
this
right
guy
people.
isn't seeing any justice that we know of at this point.
No,
So to
sit
be
at home.
able to at least use his indiscretions and the evil things that he did and turn it around.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? That has to give some kind of,
Yeah, I want to show them like, hey, dude,
satisfaction.
I won.
Yeah,
You know what I
exactly.
mean? Like you,
because of you, because of what you did.
bettered my life.
Yeah.
Like not necessarily every aspect of it, but
Yeah.
I'm gonna, take what I can.
And you should.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, everyone has a story to tell. And if people want to hear that, then I think that you should be able to use whatever vehicle that you want to tell that.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
And because it belongs to you.
Right.
And it brings awareness and courage to other people.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And I mean, you participated in something huge. Like it's on the level of like spotlight as far as unveiling this
Right. Yeah.
fraud.
Mhm.
So I commend you for contributing to that when you were in such a
appreciate it.
fragile
Yeah.
mindset.
Yeah. I wish I was a little stronger with, not having everything else go on at that time.
But
I
it
gotta
seems
handle it
like
different.
you truly are the best that you've ever been.
Absolutely.
And before we get that, I do want to just delve into that painful piece of what does it mean that he's my dad? how is that? How do you reckon with that every day? And
Mm.
where are you at with that question right now?
I guess the hardest thing is I still can't look in mirrors for very long. I'm scared that I'm going to see his face in mine. And that's, and I'm terrified that I'm going to end up being a sliver of what his evil brain is. And I'm not that person. So it terrifies me that I'm going to see him in me and feel him in me, I guess. I don't know. I hate it, to be honest with you. I wish I would have never checked my. I wish I would have never been involved. I wish I would have did it all completely different. I wish the man would just fall over and go away. I don't know really what else to say. I think that I would do a lot better and heal if I could just straight up get an apology, or just the rhyme or reason for it.
Yeah.
Like, even if it's like, dude, you're already caught. The world already hates you. Like, just tell us, give us that sense of, release what we need. Why was this the reason? Was this the reason? Whatever it is, like, we don't care. Just give us the reason. And then on top of that, he won't give us his medical history. So
What is with these people?
I don't know.
It's a part of it, I think.
I mean, I've had stomach issues. Jacoba's had stomach issues. I mean, I've had doctors tell me that it was marijuana that was hurting my stomach, that it was alcohol, that it was milk, that it was this. And I've done allergy tests and nothing. And there's a bunch of us that have a lot of stomach issues. And he won't say anything.
That seems to be pretty prevalent with people who commit fertility fraud. I think it's just more of the control piece.
Right.
At this point, it has to be. But I would hope every single person in this room has struggled with the trauma of their respective childhoods.
Right.
And had the potential to have something manifest that wasn't good inherently.
Mm-hmm.
But we all wake up every day deciding to be a good person.
Right.
And I think everyone does. And that's the observation I've been trying to make the entire time. You have felt so deeply this entire time. You reacted much differently than any of us would have to the knowledge that you gleaned from your mom in your young adult life, to the kind of cliff that you went off when you had your biological father revealed to you, just in going down layers and layers and layers. What does this mean about him and what he did to women and what he did to my mom? That is a point that most people don't reach for years on a journey like that, which just tells me that you have the capacity to feel incredibly deeply.
Mm-hmm.
And that is good.
No, it sucks a lot. Trust me. I wish I could just go away.
But that's what makes it a guarantee that you are not going to turn out that way, and you never could.
That you can think of Donald. There is no way he's ever had a moment like that, because he would not have done what he did.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I would hope that would absolve you eventually.
Hope so.
Of that fear, because I don't see it in you.
We wouldn't let you in the house.
The mirror's my fear.
Yeah.
Before anything else.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry, I don't think there's anything that's very sad. And I'm sorry that you feel like that.
Yeah, but it's gonna turn around.
Yeah.
You watch me in a couple of years, everything will be good.
You gotta give yourself a high five. That's a thing. If you high five yourself in the mirror, then it's scientific. I swear. It seems goofy.
Well,
you should just try
I'm
it.
gonna try it.
It's like smiling when you're upset. You'll eventually crack a real smile, or laughing when you're upset. That's one of my favorites. I look crazy. So how did you make your way to Austin, and what are you doing now?
Well, I I got back home and split up, was single for a year, and then ran into one of my good buddies that I went to high school with, and he owns some land. He said he was having some friends out, and one thing led to another. I met a beautiful woman that has, I guess, completely changed my life, doing the complete opposite of what my ex-wife did, to where I feel like I have a partner. Been here for 3 years, I guess, and working and doing environmental work, and doing a little bit of voiceover work on the side. And that's about it.
And how can you, this is the last question that I will ask, but tell us about meeting her and telling her all of this
Ooh.
and how that was.
Well, she was already on the bandwagon where she didn't really want any kids until she found somebody. And then when I came in, was like, hey, look, here's the deal. Are you able to deal with this?
How quick did you tell her?
Oh, immediately.
Immediately, yeah.
Good for you.
I would think you would have to.
I'm not
Yeah.
surprised at all.
Yeah, we were at my buddy's property, and of course, he just found out. So of course, he gets drunk and, hey, everybody.
Oh my.
Oh no.
So they all kind of knew then and there, but she was there through all the filming, and was there to support me. We went to the red carpet event out in LA, and she came. So she just been supportive, and like I said, I just have a partner now.
Yeah, that's really all you've been wanting.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Mhm.
Well, I think that we're seeing you on the other side of all of that. And
So
you are here today looking happy and healthy, and you just got off the golf course and you're in love. And I think, I guess all you can really do is wait for Dr. Cline that situation to take care of itself.
mhm. I think it will.
Yeah.
And hopefully the universe,
There are a lot of people pushing to make that happen. And especially there have been 70 doctors now that have been revealed to have done this.
70.
70, yeah.
Wow.
There's
I
a lot
wouldn't
of.
even think of
I
doing
know.
something like that. Like,
It goes
what happened to you as a
know.
child to where you think of doing
Well,
something
probably the
like
same
that?
reason I became a doctor. But yes, there's a lot of exciting work being done on legislature, work being done on regulations for the industry. So I think you and we will be so excited to just watch that come to light. And I think all of us know that in this life or the next, he will receive his comeuppance. Yes.
Oh, yeah.
And we're really happy
Hope
that
so.
you are here in front of
Well,
us.
I
But I'm
appreciate it.
sorry for
Thank
everything
you
that you
again,
had to go
ladies.
through to get here. Yeah.
Appreciate it.
Well, Jason, what do you have coming up? Where can people find you on social media? Anything you want to announce?
No, I'm working on a cartoon Transformers little gig. So we'll see how that goes in the next year. But besides that, I'm just looking for work, starting artist. So
Where are you on Instagram?
it's Jason Hyatt. .com. See, that's why I'm old. 39. It's
So
just not.
it's Jason Hyatt on Instagram.
Yes,
And
ma'am.
is that the best place for people to reach out if
Yeah.
they're interested in working with you?
Yeah.
Do you have a good
He's not giving out his sperm, people.
no sperm, just
No,
voiceover?
and I have I guess a public Facebook page just with my name, Jason Hyatt. So
Okay, amazing.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for taking the time to share your story with us.
absolutely, thank you so much. For having me.
Hopefully, it was a little bit less repetitive than the storytelling that you're
Oh,
used to
yeah.
doing.
Yeah, they'll have 3 hosts. So yeah, it's awesome.
And yeah, we share the same sentiment as your mom. No matter what it took to get you here, we're happy to share the space with you today.
Well, thank you.
Of
Appreciate it.
course. So for now, we're signing off. In the meantime, we hope you, Jason, leave feeling a little bit more normal in your own family dynamic, excited for the possibilities, and more curious about the world around you. Have a good week. Take things in stride and leave people better than you found them. We'll see you next time. Bye.
Bye.